So I think this movie has a lot of layers. It's great, by the way. It's an amazing movie. It has a lot of layers to it, and I think everyone is looking to matter in life. Do you think that's why this movie can so many people can relate to this film?
Yeah, I think that's a very good way to put it. I think that even though it happens to be about performers, artists, I think really it's about the way that everybody struggles with ego, the way that everybody fears the idea that their life has diverged from the perfect vision they had for it when they were younger. You know, like there's a lot about what the characters are struggling with in the movie, especially Michael's character, that I think people will relate to. I mean, not everybody has a voice in their head that's a caped superhero, but everybody has a voice in their head that talks to them, you know, and criticizes them, and they argue with it, and in that sense, I think it's very universal.
Do you have a voice like that?
Yeah, everybody does. I mean, I'm an actor, so I tend to walk down the street muttering to myself anyway, you know what I mean? Because if I'm in the middle of writing something, I'll be writing little lines in my head and of things, and I'll walk down the street and realize I'm moving my lips and people are looking at me like, he doesn't have a phone to his ear, who's he talking to? You know, I think everybody talks to themselves. I really do.
I do too.
I don't think anybody doesn't. I think anybody who says they don't have an interior monologue or interior dialogue going on is lying. I think everybody is talking to themselves every day.
So do you think about your own legacy a lot? Is that how you pick movies? Do you think about that a lot, or?
I sometimes think I'd love to be like Bob Dylan and say, no, man, you know, that's nothing I can relate to. I don't think about that. I think that anybody who becomes a performer begins that journey with some of those thoughts, because we look at people that affected us as artists, and we admire too, and we look at them and say, my God, you know, look at Robert De Niro, look at Dustin Hoffman, look at that body of work, right? But I think if you're lucky and if you're healthy, I think it shifts a little bit. Like, I think there comes for me, I think at this point, I don't think so much when I choose to do something. What matters to me much more right now in my life is like what the quality of the experience I'm gonna have is, because I've made lots and lots of movies. I actually don't really feel like the experience of making movies is very novel to me anymore. So when I pick them, I tend to pick them because either I really think they've got something interesting to say, or I think the experience of doing it is just going to be an experience that I'm going to love the time I spend on it.
Do you think, as a movie star, that it's easy to let a big ego take over sometimes, because you get into this, like, fame is
a very
complex thing.
Complex is the right word. People try to reduce it from the outside to, you know, it's what you said. It's a complex experience because there's things about it that make your ego feel good, and then there's things about it that are quite terrifying, and then there's things about it that are exhausting, and then there's things about it that are where you realize it actually can create other opportunities that are wonderful. So it's very hard to sometimes, especially when you're younger, I think, to sort through how to manage that experience so that it's mostly positive, but overall I find that you know, if you stick to the type of work that you feel like elevates you, then the kind of attention that flows from the work is usually itself also a little more substantive. You know, it's not what I would call just like screaming, hysterical behavior from people. Like if you do a thoughtful film, I think you tend to get more thoughtful response. And even when people come up to you who don't know you, even then, generally, the responses are more polite, considerate, thoughtful, because that's how they're relating to you. If I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it does. But I think also you managed to keep your private life so private, so people have this mystery about you. We don't really know who you are. We don't read about you in those magazines and anything.
But I don't think that knowing those things doesn't like it's totally self-defeating if you're an actor and you want people to get lost in a character you're creating. Then how does that?
No, I mean that helps you probably because people don't know these things about you.
I know, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing that's happened in terms of people objectifying not just performers or sports stars they like, but really everybody, is cell phone cameras, which are wonderful, but on some levels, like with your family and whatever, it's just very easy. But I find that cell phone cameras have created an incredibly rude, unconscious behavior in people. They just seem to feel like the availability of that just eliminates the need for any kind of respect for another person's, what it feels like to
someone,
and it's shock. I find myself pretty shocked by how much those things seem to have obliterated people's sense of just respect for each other on a person-to-person basis. It seems to contribute to people objectifying each other in ways that are a little. I think people need to grow up a little bit about it.
Yeah, in this movie as well, I think Emma Stone's character says to Michaels that you don't really matter unless you're viral. You're on YouTube running around in your underwear, whatever. That's what gives you popularity and amount of likes and whatever. What do you think about that direction? That
I can't really relate to much of that stuff. I just can't really relate to it. It's maybe I'm lucky. Like maybe I think to have kind of had the chance to do your work and do the things you want to do before. I'm not really trying to catch up to that stuff. I don't think I'm gonna be a YouTube sensation at this point in my life or career, and nor do I really think I need to be. So that's I'm happy to watch that from the sidelines.
Great, thank you so much.